Hello and welcome to another how-to video. My name is Ditech, CTO at DVS, and thank you for everybody who watches, follows, subscribes, comments and shares our content. If you haven't already, head over to our YouTube channel, click the subscribe button and you will be notified of our weekly new content. If you haven't already, if you've got a smartphone, if you haven't, you shouldn't even be watching this, but if you have got a smartphone, iOS or Android, don't forget to download the DVS app where you can have access to your account and be notified of any competitions, content, prizes and urgent notifications. More to come on the app very, very soon, so stay tuned. So, what are we going to take a look at today? So, Hikvision have released a new model of the Heat Pro camera. So the Heat Pro camera, that way round. So the Heat Pro camera, Hikvision Heat Pro camera, is the new name for the Eco Thermal range. So there are now two versions of the Heat Pro range. A very low res, like 120 by 160 resolution, so very low res thermal, coupled with a 4 megapixel optical image. And there's this brand new model. So a step up, a little bit more in money, but this one is, I'll give you the part number. There. There's also a bullet camera that's available in this range. But this is a 256 by 192 resolution thermal image. So it's a higher res thermal, plus the 4 megapixel optical image, plus the live guard function. So it's got the active deterrent, so it's got the speaker, flashing light, etc. So absolutely fantastic for perimeter protection, but also for heat temperature detection or fire detection. So the temperature detection can go 0 to 150 degrees. It is only plus or minus 8 degrees accurate, so it's not as accurate as the T model, which is the thermometric model, but it's still a good range, so 0 to 150. The T model is plus or minus 2 degrees accuracy, all the way up to 550 degrees, so a much wider scope, more sensitive, but again, more cost. This camera can also do fire detection, so you can specifically set it to fire detection and it looks for like flame detection in the image and therefore can be used to trigger an event. So what you get in the box, obviously the nice new branding. Heat Pro is the new terminology. So we have already done a video on this technology before. We're going to fit this one here, so I've already pre-drilled it. New turret camera is going to go here, also available in bullet form, so same in a bullet form, different lens sizes, and basically this is a 3mm, we do a 7mm, a 2mm I think as well, and the same in the bullet. Some different lens sizes in both bullet and turret, so you can pick which form factor is more applicable to your application. But the functions will remain the same, so it doesn't really matter which one we show you today. So pre-drilled, it's going to be fitted up here in our demo room, and you can see the demo here. I'm going to do two things with it. I'm going to show you the image fusion, so the thermal and the day-night image coupled together to give you that thermal fusion. We're going to show you the perimeter VCA event. Most people fit these for perimeter protection. Thermal imaging is probably one of the best technologies to be used externally for perimeter protection. Really low false alarm rate, but very accurate when it does detect a human or a vehicle due to the thermal imaging nature. And we'll show you that shortly. The other thing, obviously, with the light guard, so you've got the thermal for the accuracy and the detection, especially all weathers, irrelevant of daylight or nighttime, whatever. There's no external light source required, so the thermal imaging is really, really good for perimeter protection. Temperature measurement and fire detection, primarily perimeter protection is where these are used currently. That's where we see the biggest application. And the day-night image. So not only do you get the alarm from the VCA on the thermal, but the day-night image will then back it up to let you know what is there, and you can react accordingly or get some evidence, whatever is needed. So VCA, line crossing, intrusion, etc. So we're going to take the product out of the box. So you get your usual security Allen key, screws, manual, RJ45 waterproof gland. It's really important if you're fitting these externally, please do fit that RJ45 weatherproof gland. Drill template. Now, you get quite a long fly lead on this, that's probably 30 centimeters there. So on the fly lead, you have the RJ45 that's PoE powered, you have RS485, you have the alarm input output, you have the 12 volt, audio in and audio out. So you can power it with 12 volts, PoE,
It's got an SD card slot, so if you want to put an SD card in there for edge recording, absolutely fine. What we're trying to like promote here at DVS is any camera that's fitted externally, put an SD card in the camera. 2 reasons. 1, if the network recorder goes down, you've still got edge recording. It gives you that reliability and sustainability and that backup. So you've got the backup with an SD card fitted in there with the edge recording. When the NVR comes back online, so if it's a network fault, recorder fault, whatever that is, it will back up the footage using the ANR technology, automatic network refresh. It'll go from the camera and backfill the NVR, so you don't lose it in either place. That's a really good functionality. The second reason, if somebody does break into the property and for some reason steal the NVR, all is not lost, because all your external cameras and internal, if you want, have the capability of the SD card edge recording. You've still got access to footage which could give you that missing footage and then give you the conviction or whatever, the insight into the crime. So really recommend you do that, and quite a lot of our customers are actually doing that now. So take it out of here. So we got the usual, there we go. I'm not as good as to put a reflection. I know you guys on social media love to install cameras and take a reflection of your van in there. Not quite mastered that yet. Standard turret format, so very used to this turret format. So there's a like an aesthetic ring, once I can get it off. So take the ring off, which conceals the security screw there. Tighten that down and it locks this ring in position. Untighten it and it allows you to maneuver and tilt this camera. So it says up there, so that's the up, so you know when you're fitting it which way to put it up. The SD card slot is under there, and you've got the flashing light and the speaker built in there. So you've got the flashy light or static light plus the speaker for that live guard deterrent. If I fit it like that, you've got the thermal day-night optical there, so both of those there. So I'm going to fit this up here now, web browse into it, make sure the firmware's up to date, and give you a run through of how powerful this new device is. Again, if you saw the previous video, it's still worth checking this video out, see if you can pick up any new hints and tips. The SD card is a big one, and we'll show you the quality of the image with the thermal and the fusion, etc. So stay tuned while I chuck this up. Be back in a minute. Updated the firmware so you can see this whole new GUI for the web browser. This whole new GUI experience is also available on the latest iSeries firmware. So if you've updated your iSeries, or you do update to the latest on your iSeries, you will also get this same web GUI. So, and the camera management, I've added it here as cat channels 1 and 2. Because it's a dual lens camera, so it's a bispectrum, so day-night plus thermal, you need to add the day-night camera as channel 1 and the thermal as channel 2. So same IP address, but 2 different channels, and I can hyperlink into it there. So web browsed into the product itself. First thing you will see is if I press play, wait for it to catch up. The Internet Explorer is a little bit slower, especially when you're doing a screen recording. So 2 cameras, 4 megapixel day-night camera. So excuse the mess, I'm just getting rid of some stuff there, but Mark didn't have nowhere else to store it. So we have a 4 megapixel day-night camera, which is 2.8 millimeter lens. Now, if I go into the thermal, you can see it's still a class, what I would class as a low-res thermal, but higher res than the first edition Heat Pro. But this is a 3mm lens, so the lens size on the thermal is slightly narrower than on the day-night camera. So generally, the thermal will always be a narrower field of view compared to the day-night camera. So the field of view, you need to make sure you manipulate the thermal camera into position, and then the day-night camera will cover it, will actually overlap it, okay? So always position the camera using the thermal as your reference and not the day-night camera. As you can see already, this is a thermal camera, it's picking up heat. So in this image, you can see there's a monitor down there. So the monitor, that monitor there, is on. I left it on purpose. I turned everything else off. So you can see it's already picking up the heat from that monitor. You can see there's a smart plug down there. So TP-Link smart plug, TP-Link smart plug. And some mains powered camera. So that is a 12 volt powered camera, that one there on the board. And there's a mains powered alarm panel there. So you can see these are emitting heat already. So you've also got on the door, you've got the indoor station. So again, powered by PoE, emitting heat. The lock, so you can see that's the mag lock of the door. a lot of heat generated by a maglock generally when it's holding force. Break glass and request to exit, that's a powered request to exit, and the same with the break glass, they're both powered. They both got lights on it, and therefore that's why you're seeing that residual heat from that. But you can see there's some heat from the other products, like there's a keyboard by there. You can see the lights in the ceiling emitting LED lights, cool running LED lights, but they still do emit some heat radiation. So if I go and stand in front of the camera, you'll see me walking in front of it. Welcome. No, you're most welcome. Welcome. So if I turn this monitor off, so you can see when a human walks in front of it, the definition of me, or a human, is much more pronounced than the background radiation from these devices. Low-level radiation, infrared radiation, compared to me as a human who emits a lot of heat. I'm a very hot person. I've just turned this monitor off. You can see there in the image, I've just turned that monitor off. So over time, that monitor will begin to cool, and you'll see the color fade from the bright white, which indicates white is hot in this color scheme. We can change the color scheme, which I will show you shortly. And as you can see, over time, in the next few minutes, that will start to dull down as the residual heat from that product is lost. Okay, so next thing I want to do, if I go to configuration, just how I do it, do it however way you want it. Everyone's got their own preference, but I always go to the local, make sure display pos information and rules is on, and then I want to display temperature, yes. Display trajectory, yes. Now, display trajectory enables it to put a tracer line for an object that moves through it when you do a VCA event. I'll show you that shortly. System, I copy and paste that part number, but this is the latest firmware. So this is the full model number, and this is currently the latest firmware. Always make sure that you update to the latest firmware from the portal. One for stability, bug fixes, but also usability. It does generally enhance the functionality of the product. Time settings, 1433, so it is 1433, that's fine. DST, RS232, RS485, and the unit settings, degree Celsius. You can change it to Fahrenheit or Kelvin depending on your application. So, default, etc., no problem. Security settings, I'm going to leave it as it is, plus user management. The networks, I've already set the network parameters up, and I am going to set platform access up. So under platform access, we've got ICE up there. We're going to use High Connect, enable that. Put my code in there, do that, and save. That will come online very shortly. Give it a couple of minutes and it generally comes online. We'll come back to that in a minute, and I'll add it online. It will come online when I add it to the app. Okay, second thing, under email, all your general email details there, but they've done an enhancement. So the alarm, email, attachment settings, VCA behavior, image or video, optical or thermal channel, and the video duration up to 7 seconds. On the latest firmware for this product, I can now send a video based on a VCA event. The reason it's a small video is because if I do the optical channel, still 7 seconds, a video file is generally quite large, and therefore we need to reduce the size of the video sent, because most email hosts will cap it at 10 meg, basically. So if it goes past 10 meg, it'll just refuse it. But also, a lot of spam filters would block this attachment as well. But we can now, on the latest firmware, send a small video clip as the settings are there. So I can do that as another video if anyone wants to see it. Video and audio. So I've got camera 1 and camera 2. Video and audio. I can change that to video and audio. The camera will reboot if I do that. So audio input is line in. There's no built-in microphone on this product, but I can plug a microphone into the audio input jack that I showed you before installation. Change the input volume and click save. Now, it also has an environmental noise filter, so if you've got a lot of background noise, you can turn that on and it tries to focus on the speech. It doesn't always work, but it is an improvement generally. Okay, same with camera 2, doesn't support it because it's only on the optical channel. Okay, put it back to that. So 4 megapixel, and I set the 720p for the thermal. It's not quite 720p, nowhere near. It's a low res thermal, but it kind of tries to upscale it to the 720p ratio. Both H.265, and display VCA info by player or in the video. So if I want to change it, I always change it to video. The VCA data is embedded in the video at the same time, and click save. If you change it to video, it doesn't. You need to use the VS player to show the VCA data. Okay, image. So, camera 1. All of the standard settings you'd expect on a day-night camera. So, I can change brightness, exposure, day-night settings, auto, IR mode, auto, etc. I can change all of those backlight settings, white balance, image enhancement. That's normal. So, I can change all that, if should I need to. Change it to indoor even. On the thermal camera, wait for it to load. This is where I can change brightness and contrast, background defective pixels, manual correction, and thermal AGC. Normally, the best course of action is to leave them as default unless you've got an issue and you can contact us or Hikvision Technical and we can try to help you remotely adjust the settings or point you in the right direction. Generally, the default are fine, especially the AGC mode. Image enhancement. So, you can actually do digital noise on, off, or expert, so it's on as normal and 50%. And then the palette is the color scheme used. So white appears as hot, but I can do it as black hot, so it'll reverse the image effectively. I can't stand black as hot, but you can. Everyone's got their own personal preference on the way they like this to look. You can have fusion, rainbow. You can choose whatever out of all these different color schemes. So it's up to you what you want to choose. My preference is white hot. When I choose white hot, this color scheme allows me to do the target coloration for temperature. So if I want to show the temperature of an object, I can say target coloration above 30 degrees to be colored, let's say yellow. Between, don't really want to do that, or below, I could say below 15 degrees to be colored green. Click save, and you can see how that updates it. So the area in green is below 15. Anything above 25 degrees would go yellow. So if I stand in front of the scene, give you a sort of indication what this looks like. So you can see I'm yellow. So you can see it allows you to break up the scene with the colours. So if you want a visual, I'm going to actually turn these off. You get the idea now. It actually allows you to add the colour or visual indication in the scene. So if you're an operator and you see these colours appear, you know there's going to be an issue or potentially could be an issue. Really enhances or focuses you on that colour scheme and that target. So if I just do above 35 degrees, let's go red as a warning. This is what most people do. Now, I might not be 35 degrees, but now if I get a lighter, so I've got a lighter in front of me, you can see that flame of the lighter goes red. There you go. So that flame of the lighter, you can see clearly that it was red and there could be an issue, therefore you can quickly act and identify it. So that's what the color palette does on image enhancement. And then video adjust, mirror, digital zoom. Pretty straightforward. OSD. Now this is where I change it to day, month, year, because we're the UK, that's our format. And then overwrite that with that. Drag that there. Drag that there. Done. Same with camera 2. Same with that one. Now I could put custom text in here, and I could say red color call security. Click save. So I could say drag that one down here. Now you can see in the background the text has uploaded. So it says red color call security. So it really focuses you on that scene. And when you see an object with red, I need to call security or whatever that may be. Just a really simple example, but I'll take it off and do it. But that's how that works. Privacy mask, if you need to privacy mask it. Picture overlay. Now this is the good one. The image fusion. Go to camera 2. Sorry, that's not the image fusion. I completely lied to you. We'll get back to that now. So what you can do with these is upload a picture. So if I want to go to picture 1, I don't know why I thought that was image fusion. It's been a long week. Select a picture. I'm not sure if I got any saved. Don't have any saved. But I could upload a picture. So select the picture, 24-bit BMP format, and the maximum size is 128 by 128. It could be a company logo. It could be anything. Most people upload a company logo on it just because it makes it nice and simple to identify the installing company. DPC, dead pixel correction, manual, or well, you can only do it on camera 1 and then manually, and then you can adjust it and save it. Shouldn't need to mess with that. Then VCA rule display on camera 2. It's the font size. Basically, so I always put it about 20 and click save. So when there's a target, the temperature reading in it is bigger than the default of 12. I just find it easier to read. So that is basically everything I wanted to show you on image. Got lost then. Image fusion. I'll come back to that. That seems to be missing on here, so I need to pick that up with technical. Always on a live demo, right? So event, basic event, alarm input, alarm output. Like I said, it's got the hardwired loom on it. Exception, flashing light output, solid or flashing. So this is for the live guard active deterrent on VCA, but it can also be linked on temperature detection and fire detection. So the light and sound can do on that. So flashing duration 5, high intensity, brightness high. Let's put it as 24/7. Done. Audible output, temperature measurement or VCA behavior. So I can put warning. This is a restricted area. Just play it once. Same with that. Make it active 24/7 or what your schedule. That's your schedule for the light and the alarm. Adjust it as needed for your application. Click test. And that camera behind me is now speaking. See? So on a VCA trigger, that's what will be said. I can change it to custom audio, add my own recorded custom audible file to it. It's up to you, and you can play it more than once. But we'll put it as that. And then same with temperature measurement, warning, temperature anomaly, please deal with it as soon as possible. Same, listen. So you can see there the 2 different triggers for temperature measurement and VCA behavior, because you can do VCA and temperature measurement at the same time. If you do fire detection, the camera will reboot and you basically lose that functionality of VCA. So under network, okay, under smart event, it's got the audio exception detection. If you do connect the microphone to the audio input of the camera, you can enable this audio loss detection or sudden increase or decrease in sound intensity. So like if you've got machinery that you want to know that stops or starts, etc., or shouting, you can use this detection function via that microphone. Not many people do use it, but it is there should you require it. Under storage, SD card is fitted there. I can enable the storage, and I can say for anything with an event, let's just do continuous. Done, and save. Same with camera 2. Save. You can also do time lapse. So under capture parameters, I can enable the timing snapshot, and that can store the image on the SD card, which is effectively time lapse. So storage management, done that. Cloud storage we don't use in the UK, and you can add up to 8 network hard drive paths. Under VCA, this is where we set up the VCA and the temperature detection. So the fire detection, I know I stated that at the beginning. So on the older model, fire detection, under system, they used to have a VCA menu where you'd have it as temperature detection and VCA or fire detection. On this particular model, the QA model, is temperature detection and VCA at the same time, but no specific fire detection algorithm. But the fire detection algorithm would easily fit into the temperature detection if you set that up effectively, rather than having a separate fire detection, if that makes sense. By nature, fire emits heat. Put the draw box temperature detection, put value in it, and by nature you should then detect fire due to the heat, if there's any logic in what I'm saying. So basic settings for the intelligent analysis, we need to enable that. So this is a wizard on how to do this. It walks like basically screenshots on how to do this. So click next, 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 next. So that's how we set or calibrate the camera. It's really important that we calibrate the camera. Display trajectory on the stream, yes, and we'll display it for 10 seconds. I'll show you that effect in a minute. Display info on picture on the alarm picture, yes and yes. I just enable these because if we're using it off-site or via our software, it gives you extra information on those alarm pictures. Camera calibration. Now this is really important, especially when you're using this for perimeter protection, VCA mode. Out of the box is not calibrated. Once you fitted it, you need to follow the calibration steps. So enable camera calibration and click yes. We're going to start so I'm going to go in zigzag. So what this actually, you need to zigzag across the field of view. You'll see me do it in a minute. That zigzag motion from to the end and then back again will then take 4 different reference points of me, and then we compare it, click save, and then we say that that's fine. So let me just go and do that. Okay, so the zigzag motion. Click stop. Right, so auto calibration has failed because it only saw 3 valid images on that crisscross. So when this is fitted outside, this generally works really well. Because we fitted it inside, it's a small area to try and maneuver. But I will try this one more time. A very general observation when people try to calibrate these is this auto calibration fail. Now, if you continually fail, I can select manual calibration and measure the object size and manually calibrate this camera. Where possible, I always want to try the auto calibration for this method. So it needs to see 4 clear images across that walking pattern to then succeed with the auto calibration. So we're going to try it one more time. So there we go. So we're going. So I'm going to try this one more time. Okay, so let's try that. So I open the door to give it a more defined perimeter. Click save. Auto calibration succeeded. There we go. Some more crisscrosses, and I walked out the door to give it more definitive area. So it's seen captured me 4 times, 4 definitions, and I'm happy with that. So now click save. That now saves that into the database, and it's got the calibration detail it needed to be accurate on the intelligence side, and then we'll uncalibrate that. We don't need to leave it in camera calibration mode. So when I go back to it, that will always be saved as the reference there, okay? So we're done. Shield region, so I can actually add a region, a mask area. So the intelligent engine, so say if I didn't want anything to ever be detected in this area, I can simply draw a box here, and then that would mask that area out, so no VCA rule is active in that area, but I don't need that. I'm just going to close this door a second, guys. Okay, so rule. This is where I define my VCA rule for perimeter protection. So I go to add a rule. First name is, I don't know, outside one, call it whatever you want. Rule type, line crossing, intrusion, region entrance, region exit. So I'll say line crossing. And then I got sensitivity 50, bidirectional, target human vehicle or human and vehicle. So draw my line. So I'm going to say anything that goes over there. Okay, click save. I'm in schedule, rule 1 24/7, but I can adjust as needed. Alarm linkage, notify surveillance center, which is our software and our apps. If you want to notify the app, it needs to be there. Flashing alarm and audible warning, and click save. Rule number 2. Outside 2. And that could be intrusion, for instance. Duration 5 seconds, human and vehicle. And this one, I want anywhere in that area there. Okay, so click save. And again, I'm in schedule. For that one is 24/7. Alarm linkage, again, those 2 there. And click save. So I go to rule. Now this is where this comes in handy. So imagine I had no lights on, or is in the deepest, darkest depths, really poor lighting, even rain, whatever that is, and this was outside. What I can actually do is, I'm going to go onto the web browser, and I'm going to go and walk in front of this now. So I'll start the view. And you'll see what I mean by trajectory. As I walk through this, you'll see a trajectory line walk behind me. The line will go red when I cross it, and the box will go red when I enter it and stay in there for 5 or more seconds. So I'm going to go and do this a second. So there you go. Sound and light is gone, and the trajectory line is there. If I go further into the box, and that's how you can use the trajectory line to show you the trace. So like on playback, it'll show you the object trace. So if it's a vehicle or a human, it will trace that through the scene. So it's nice that you can see where they breached the perimeter, where they went, what they did, and where they went back out or apprehended, etc. And that's how you do VCA, the calibration, and the day-night camera will give you that overview as I've shown you. Now, if I wanted to do temperature detection, so under configuration, so all I need to do then, or under advanced configuration, you can adjust some parameters there, like you can turn single alarm off, scene mode general, or like leaves interfered, which is like lots of shrubbery where the leaves are blowing and could affect the algorithm. But you can adjust some parameters there to make it more accurate. Under temperature measurement, I need to enable temperature measurement, and then I can enable the color temperature measurement, which I showed you before in the image how we set that up. Click save. So I can display temperature info on stream, yes. I can display the temperature in the optical channel, which is always handy because you've got the day-night image, which can overlay the temperature of the object as well. So we're going to leave that yes. Now, I don't really care about the minimum temperature. I only want to show the maximum temperature. It'd be too much in the scene if you're showing minimum. You can choose to show that, and you can also choose to show the average temperature as well. But we're just going to display the maximum temperature, and I'm going to use the lighter to trigger this alarm. Position of thermography, near target or top left. So I can set it top left of the scene or near the actual target. Most people would choose near target. And I'm going to add original data on stream and do that one, yes. Data refresh 1 second. Degree Celsius, -20 to 150. And alarm interval is 3. It's also got reflect light filter, so I can enable that and change the sensitivity on reflected light filter. And also, if there's a forklift in the scene, so what we find with the temperature measurement, with forklifts moving through the scene, their hot exhaust or hot engines can absolutely trigger the thermal alarm. So if I enable forklift filter, it generally sees the forklift moving and removes that from the VCA alarm, if that makes sense. It tries to mitigate the forklift from any alarm. Doesn't always work, but it does definitely help. Click save. So advanced settings. So again, for the alarm, I can have it normal or expert. And I can do, so if I change it to expert mode, I can enable it, give it a name, and do temperature alarm. I normally do expert mode, to be honest. Temperature alarm. I can do a point, an area, or a line. I'm going to do an area. And I'm going to draw an area. So I'm going to do anything in this area here. Distance, about 3 meters. Reflective temperature, I can enable that and adjust the reflective temperature. It depends on the object you're measuring, but that can be handy. And the alarm rule is on. Click settings. And then alarm temperature is 35 or over. Filtering time is 1 second, but most leave it at 3. Pre-alarm temperature 34, filtering time 3, tolerance temperature 1 degrees, and then you can have it alarm, pre-alarm and alarm output is there. Click save. Click save. And shield region, again, you can mask areas out from temperature detection if you need to. If you've got like a hot exhaust pipe or radiator that you want to mitigate, use shield region. And linkage method is 24/7, but set the parameters for time as needed, and then flash in alarm and audio, and that will play the temperature exception alarm. So now, if I go to live view, wait for the live view to start. I didn't start it. So, day-night image there, and then this is my detection area. So I've got my, I tell you what I will do under configuration. Let's turn the VCA off because the line cross will go off. I forgot that I've left that on. So under VCA, we'll just go to rule. Turn the rules off for the VCA. Okay. In fact, we'll just get rid of them. Click save. And you can see there it's already measuring temperature. So minimum to maximum there. An ID, and then the maximum temperature is 25.7. So go back to live view. Just makes it cleaner. But you can do VCA and temperature at the same time. For purposes of demonstration, we've removed it. Okay, so lighter. So you can see when I'm in this field now, so it should show I'll be the hottest object in this scene. Now if I get my lighter, again, come out with the box. So I come out with the box. And again, if I move back into it, so I use the lighter, which is more than 35 degrees, to use that temperature alert. So not only would I have got an alert through to the app or email or the software, whichever one you're using, the camera itself has also alerted me locally. So as an operator, I know there's an issue. Again, going back into the box. Again, with my lighter. 3 seconds. There we go. And there we go. That is how the camera works. I'm going to come back out with that. So, VCA setup with the calibration, 2 channels, bi-thermal, plus obviously the lighter, but that could be anything. That could be a fire, it could be an uncontrolled flame, it could be combustible material, whatever that is that you need to monitor and then trigger an alarm on, so locally and to the software, to the app, etc. Don't forget full Hike Connect support, so if you need to, we'll push that straight to the app. Past that, that's kind of everything that we set up and need to show you. Hopefully you've learned a lot about this camera. It's a very, very good camera, and so fire detection is no longer a separate thing. You just do it within temperature detection and set values, and it would effectively, that is a small fire. I'm sure in the very near future they'll put fire detection back as a separate VCA entity. I'll check, but I presume that's what they would do because it's a brand new product. And the second thing, just checking just to confirm that image fusion isn't there now on this model. I'll feed it back. It was really nice to have that image fusion. I think they will put it in. Knowing Hikvision, that'll be back in the next couple of firmware updates. The image fusion will be back where it merges the thermal and day-night into a very clear thermal day-night image, if that makes sense. So there you have it. That's everything that I needed to show you. Hopefully you've learned a lot. Any questions, leave them in the comments below and we'll answer the best we can. Other than that, stay safe and see you very, very soon. Cheers, everyone.